There are some serious problems on the Silver Line, and it may not be done. We don't know exactly when it's got to be done, but we have a guy here at WMAL who's been covering this story, and he knows all about it. His name is Martin Caro, and he's on the line right now to help us understand the complexities of this story. Hello, Martin.
Hello, gentlemen. Was that four more years? Was that a Freudian slip about Silver Line?
Yeah, well, it may be.
Very well be.
So
I think that's optimistic.
There was a big hearing yesterday, a big meeting yesterday, in which they all sat down and they sort of outlined, and really for the first time in a very public way, some of the remaining problems. Yeah. Outline some of the things that they talked about, and give us some sense of where we are with the Silver Line.
Well, for starters, the question the region is asking: when will the Silver Line be ready? There's no answer to that yet.
They don't know.
And they don't know. It's very process oriented. But just before I get into a couple of the problems, this is basically what has to happen. There are a number of mistakes and errors that have to be rectified by the contractor, which is led by Bechtel. That's the contracting group, Bechtel, the construction and engineering firm, and all their subcontractors. Once they fix all these problems, and once the two sides agree exactly what has to be fixed and agree that they are indeed fixed, then the project gets handed to Metro for 3 more months of Metro's own testing and workforce training, etc. So if we just look at a calendar and use simple math, if it takes contractors and the Airports Authority, the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority, 2 or 3 more weeks, this is just a guess, to resolve the outstanding issues, which is not surmountable, by the way. Then you add another 2 to 3 months Metro's own testing on top of that. So optimistically, we're looking at a mid to late summer opening for the Silver Line. But even that is difficult to say, general window, because every time this project seems to be on the brink of getting towards what's called substantial completion, something else comes up. And some of the problems that were outlined yesterday were a little bit mystifying. I mean, we're dealing with Bechtel, one of the largest firms in the world, missing out on codes, installing speakers in each of the 5 Silver Line stations that, as it turned out, were not up to code, so they have to be all torn out and put back into place. And this is exactly what I found out from the Virginia Department of General Services, which sends their inspectors out, or actually has an inspector on scene all the time. The speakers were originally installed to act solely as public address system, right? So they were fine. They met the code year that was locked into the original design plans of 2002. But 6 months ago, a change was made, and it's unclear who decided to make the change. The speakers were then to be incorporated into an advanced fire alarm system for which they did not meet the current code. So it falls on the contractor to know that when you make the design change, the new equipment or the change has to meet
code, and it doesn't. So they're having to replace all these speakers there, right?
And it takes a lot of time to do that, even though it sounds like a simple project.
But there are bigger problems as well. I mean, like the software that runs the trains.
Yes. Now, this is not a safety issue; it's a reliability issue. And to make this as non-technical as possible, because I'm certainly not in the engineering field myself, there are a trackside, or what they're called wayside computer units. They're called remote terminal units, RTUs. They were installed by the subcontractor Austin Signaling, and under testing, they continue to fail. So if there's, a problem on the train, these units fail safe, right? And they stop the trains in their tracks to prevent anything from happening. The computers are supposed to automatically reboot, but they are not automatically rebooting under testing. They have to be manually rebooted by personnel who are in the signaling stations along the tracks. All that means is that it would disrupt the smooth operation of the trains. It would cause delays. Things wouldn't run as smoothly as they should if these units would do what they're supposed to do, automatically reboot. Now, the gist of the story is they've been trying to fix this for months. This glitch seemingly escapes all remedies. So yesterday, the head of the project, Pat Nowakowski, announced that this signaling system, or at least these remote terminal units, would have to be entirely replaced. They're going to do a new contract, and they hope that just by gutting out what's there and putting in new stuff, they can get this thing fixed, move the project along faster than if they just kept toiling over the same problem.
We're talking
and again, that's not a safety issue. That's more of a reliability issue.
We're talking to Martin Caro. He's the WMAL's reporter that covers all these transit issues and plenty more, by the way. But this really is your wheelhouse, Martin. And I got to say, you have been raising the alarms here around the office for months now that the Silver Line is a disaster waiting to happen. I got to ask you, I mean, this basic thing about the UL, the Underwriters Laboratory, I mean, that's a pretty basic thing in the construction business, especially for something like this, for the speakers on an outdoor facility like this that you're going to need. Who's keeping an eye on this? Who allows something like that to slip through the cracks where the cabling and the speakers aren't up to code? Is this the contractor? I mean, obviously contractor responsibility, but isn't there somebody from MWA who is overseeing this and can draw attention to it before it becomes so expensive?
Well, that is a very good question, and that, of course, could be resolved by attorneys later down the road if these two sides start fighting over money. It's the contractor's responsibility when you make a design change or a change order to know what the building codes are supposed to be. There is an inspector on scene all the time. MWA, of course, does have an oversight role here, so they cannot be freed entirely from blame. So it's the contractor, it's the agency that's overseeing the construction of the line, MWA.
But wait, there's an inspector on site all the time, and nowhere as 11 miles worth of track where these speakers have been installed, and nowhere along the line did someone say, those aren't up to code.
Well, in fact, that's what did happen, because this change was made 6 months ago to the speaker system when they were installed to be part of this advanced fire alarm system. Remember, originally the speakers were fine just as for public address, but to be used in this fire alarm system, they had to be up to a different code year.
Right.
So the inspectors did catch it. Problem is, why were they installed that way by Bechtel and its subcontractors to begin with, and why did Bechtel, despite, and the speakers are just one of many punch list items, why did Bechtel submit this project for completion a month ago with all these outstanding
With all the
issues?
problems, yeah. All right, Martin DeCaro, we're going to have to leave it there, but great having you.
Thank you,
know
Martin.
where all the bodies are buried at M1.